Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Sales Funnels Tech Simplified, the podcast where we take the messy, complicated world of funnels in tech and make it make sense. I'm your host, Deepanjali, and today's episode is super special. Not just because we are going behind the scenes, but because I have finally convinced the quieter half of CXL Funnels to grab the mic. He's the creative genius, the strategy wizard, the pixel perfectionist who turns what if we tried this into beautifully functioning funnels. For the first time ever, meet my co-founder, my partner in funnel crime, Kshitij.
Hey everyone. It's good to be here and I'm so excited. Although I'm feeling a bit nervous, I don't know why. I am into the funnels as the Panjali mentions, and today we are gonna be spilling some behind the scenes of what goes around. And let's shoot and start with the conversation.
So let's start with how it all started from noodles to funnels. Okay, Kshitij. So take us back to the very beginning. Do you remember those whiteboard scribbles?
Oh yes, the famous whiteboard scribbles, the anatomy of what we are going to do every time, and we used to sketch it all out. Yes, I definitely remember it. And we were sitting on the floor with the coffees, cold coffees, and the instant noodles, brainstorming how we could combine each of the tech magic. And it was not, I mean, yes, we were niche into funnels, but around a decade ago when we started, it was all websites, softwares, and everything. So we had that experience all in all. We started our agency with everything, with broaden horizon. But yes, of course, with the certain situations that gone around in the world, the pandemic and all, then we decided, and when we built on the first funnels uh, and the whiteboard, I still remember the sketch marks on the whiteboard of how we would go with it and how we used to just have we used to watch webinars and how to design it. I used to know this from certain other coaches, Russell Brunson, Anik Singhal, these are to name a few. Just our passion for helping out the client, automating the entire process, and how exciting the client would get.
Yes, Kshitij, I would agree with you. It's been such a great journey. I mean, we have seen it all, done it all in our business, right? And how we become a full-fledged agency with funnels and everything, and how this whole thing, happened while we were in pandemic. And I remember you were the one who was suggesting me, we should get into funnels. And, those were the times when we were deep into creating the apps for Harvard University and, Manchester University, pardon me, Harvard Medical School. Quite remember that those were the times when I was so much deep into, we were all so much deep into work that was impossible to even think of learning something new or, pivoting in our business. But I would say, I would give it to you that you made it happen.
Thank you on that. However, I mean, I think it was both of our hard work, the disagreements and the agreements both, and that we were able to push it through and we're able to actually zero in on a niche that how what niche we are going to serve, what we are going to do. So yeah, I mean, it's the sheer passion of actually helping the clients that got us through. And we love
Yeah.
what we do. I mean, it's not something that we are doing out of pressure or something. Yes, I mean, of course, the dollars and money does give us a bright smile, but yes, it's the complete process of what we do and how it helps our client. It's what gives us more satisfaction.
There have been so many of launches that we have done together, starting from websites. I remember there was this website that we created in just 3 days, if you remember those days. And
Yeah, that I remember it was literally my birthday at that point, and we were at client's office straight out 72 hours we were working while the clients were just pushing us in a way. But the moment it went live and it was for an international event and it was like we are done. I mean, we can do perform under pressure. But then we again thought never again of this sort. I mean,
Yeah.
not that we don't perform under pressure, but if the time comes, we will. But we have to automate the entire process.
Okay, Kshitij, now it's time to spill the bloopers. What's your biggest tech facepalm?
Oh my God! I mean, there have been. It's not that nothing has happened in the bloopers, but yeah, I consistently believe my first blooper to be when we were testing the payment gateways for one of our clients, and I designed the entire checkout flow. And what happened was, because it was the payment link and payment gateways are such a critical process of integration, uh, what we used to do was nothing should get cut just for testing also, something like that. But we were so much into that we forgot to actually convert it into a live link. And we got several signups. And apparently, I think the client came and said that nothing is reflecting on his account. And then we have to manually go apologize to each of the signups. We have to get. I literally said that I have to give them a some freebie. I remember, okay, I'll give you that, but yeah, you have to pay for it. You just and they were like very headstrong. No, no, we can see the test mail. We can see the thank you mail. Everything is there. We have signed up. And while I know some clients were trying to play a bit smart, but then I said no, it's not, and I convinced them. I think there have been several where even we being techies, we have to, when we are choosing certain platforms, maybe it a marketing platform, maybe it a designing software, anything, we had certain disagreements. You being the Cody, you wanted to have certain things your way, and I being a certain would give a certain visual aspect and also a strategy aspect. Okay, we can do this. That would be have been much better. Remember the fights we used to have for that. I mean, okay, this is the one. No, this is the one. No, this is the one.
Yeah, I
And
guess I was the hard one over here. It's difficult to, make me believe into something because, I remember those disagreements. Those were so important as well because at the end of the day, we were wanting to serve our clients with the best we could offer, right? And we were
yeah,
also learning in the process.
of course, it's just a perspective of what tools we use and what now. I mean, with the amazing tools and AI and all, uh, things have become literally seamless. And I still remember at one point I didn't want to argue at any point. Just said go with anything you want, and I'm okay with it. I can work with anything on that editor. On
Yeah, when it comes to editors, we all know that there's so many platforms and apps out there. I guess everyone has to struggle as well if they're doing it all on their own. What would you tell them about that?
Look, I mean, good question though. I would suggest, I mean, in fact, I get asked this a lot. Ki, what would you do at this point? What is the marketing platform you would prefer? What is this thing? I said all of them are good. Just check out what resonates with you and don't stick with 5 to 10 tools. Stick with something that resonates, or maybe start with something, and as you scale, you can always actually migrate to other ones. But stick to one platform, stick to one thing. Everything, everyone does a good job. It's not that they are not doing it. With obviously, there are some pros, some cons on that, but that is manageable. But yeah, I mean, if someone asks me, I'd suggest there are many free tools. Yeah, in fact, the email platforms that we use right now are kind of a funnel building service. Step and
Yeah.
try. If someone is into email marketing, go with it.
Mm.
Someone Canva, one of the biggest design, I mean, what we use in our ads as well, and what we use in our creatives as well. Of course, as I said, with the open AI and other AI tools, it has become easier for us. But just make a decision, go with it. If you are confused, just trial. There are trials of almost each and every tool.
Yeah.
If it isn't, try it out for a month or 14 days, whatever the trial period is. Because in the long term, the cost will matter less if you try it out, because you would say, okay, I might have to use, let's say, tool A. That might have resonated with other client, but may not be a good fit for you. And it is okay. It is perfectly fine. So just try it out and make the decision there and then. Don't just prolong the decisive process.
You have mentioned Canva. So, Canva has its own AI, and we have so many AI tools that are out there. I just love Canva, the way Canva has evolved. You remember, how we just, I guess you were the one who suggested that tool to me, and then I got addicted with it. We also have Adobe, right? And you are the Adobe guy. So, what do you think about designing when it comes to Adobe, Canva, AI? I would love to know your thoughts.
Okay, so Canva as a tool definitely has evolved. Yes, I mean, it has its own value right now. Uh, I don't know, but I have been late. Once I got to know Figma, I have been lately using it. It has been a good tool for me. Canva and other tools, I think they are on the path where they are not just designing tools. I mean, it has its own AI, it has its own copy, although the designs of Canva are very good. But it makes the process and design so much faster. And even the digital product designs and everything, you don't have to invest a much more time into it. But yeah, I as a at times I am, as a strategist and a designer, at times I used to get hung out on design for so long that I remember projects getting delayed because of it, and it was me to blame at that point. Okay, no, this should be perfect, this should be perfect. It's okay to be perfect, but it is okay even if it's a bit imperfect.
Yeah.
You can always improve it on the way. But yes, be perfect in the process and systemizing the whole. For example, if there's a landing page that converts, it's a process, it's a format. Replicate it. No need to just do something different about
Yeah. And remember, we've been, now that we are talking about tools and editors, let's tell our audience that we use GoHighLevel, right? And that's also an evolution for our agency. Remember, we started with Builderall, if I'm not wrong, then we shifted to another platform, then another platform. So I guess it also depends on the times that we are in, and I'm quite happy with GoHighLevel right now. I would like to know your thoughts.
Yes, I mean, thanks for bringing that point up. Yes, I mean, we shifted tools like anything, and uh, I don't regret it because I just mentioned that we have to go through tools uh, to have a know-how. And as for Go High Level, it has been working wonderfully for us. Uh, Folks, this is not a sponsored post, but yes, we do Go High Level on this point.
Yeah.
And the other tools, obviously, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Grok, Claude. People do use Claude as well. Claude is also a good tool. So it's a mix of these tools that helps us. And with Go High Level, it has been a seamless process for me to design. And I think there is a Figma extension that we can design in Figma and actually replicate it in Go High Level. Either it's in process or either it's available. We'll have to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much that we can share with our audience, but let's go to our next question. All right, let's talk wins. What's one client success story that still makes you smile?
Though it would be a very biased answer, every client success does make us smile because every client who come to us does make us. But I'll tell you the first client that once we automated the entire process, she was a baker, and the minute the Stripe notifications came and the smile on her, okay, I can focus on baking while orders can come
Yeah,
in.
that was amazing.
That was amazing. That's amazing. Second, the obviously the 72-hour story that I told you, that okay, even that client got very, he was happy, and we were the last minute resources he sought out help from. We offered our services, and even at that point, that particular client was very happy because it was some speech he had to give in Netherlands or somewhere, and the way we just made things live in the 72 hours without any hiccups. That's a different story that after 72 hours, I was in no mood to push it any longer.
Yeah, those were really challenging projects. And at the same time, I remember the bakery one. Being the tech person that I am, I remember that smile coming on her face when I
Yeah.
configured everything on her mobile. She was
Yeah.
able to access everything, all her website, everything in the backend, and see her cakes and their pictures and everything all on her mobile. And it was such a great moment for her. I remember we were sitting in a restaurant and doing this.
To our clients, I would really to your audience, I would like to say, though it seems very simple that okay, she was able to see the photos and maybe it was a website or something, but it was an automation process that we did. And even that website, let's say, was such brought such a happiness to her. Obviously, that's a very good win for us. And later on, obviously, there were enterprises that we worked for. There were six-figure, seven-figure enterprises, the MNCs that we work.
And recently we pivoted to we are focusing on health coaches. What do you think about that?
So yeah, again, the fight happened on what niche to select. Gonna do. I was saying, let's be a complete funnel agency for everything. While when we attended the webinar by Russell Brunson, who said that niche it down, then somehow we niched on health coaches.
Yeah, I remember we were first doing it for coaches, course creators, and authors, and then we
Service provider.
Russell Brunson. Then we had Dean Graziosi, right?
Right.
We had to choose a dot,
Tony
and
Robbins and Team Brazil.
yeah, you remember the dot?
Yeah, that dot. Yes.
Yeah. So, I would like to tell the audience that it was the struggle with our own health that it helped us to niche down to health coaches, right? So, we wanted to help health coaches because we were also going through a health struggle during the pandemic, and that's what motivated us to niche down to this kind of section.
Yeah, of course. Clients do come to me apart from health coaches that if you're a funnel expert, do that. And at times we do give that. But yes, we are focusing on coaches and health coaches mainly. We know what works for them.
Yeah, and it's such a interesting and such a lovely journey that we are on, and we are
Yes.
learning so much. So right now, Kshitij, it is time for rapid fire. Are you ready?
Yes, bring it on.
Tell us about one AI tool you secretly love.
One AI tool. Okay, that's tough one. But I'll say the most I'm using right now is ChatGPT and Cloud AI. These are the two that I am in. I'm in anything. It's like Google. Anything that comes, I just go to ChatGPT.
Ooh, and one thing people don't know about you.
Hmm. I'm spilling the beans over here, but in my creative process work related, sometimes my focus is by movements. For example, after 30, 40 minutes, and which is unlike the job description that I'm in, but I think I get much more productive and on the move while working. So for example, if I work in a cafe, that's a better place, and after a certain time, I just move around. I move to a different cafe. I go to home in then 2 3 hours. So that makes me much more productive. And people seem to think that what he he's so loaded that he has got multiple things going on. No, it's the same thing going on, but I'm doing.
Okay, what's your creative process before designing a funnel?
The most creative process I have to design a funnel is a pen and a paper. Simple, black and white, no Figma, nothing. I just take a pen, design the flow, entire thing, and that paper actually saves us a lot of time. That's the most creative process in it while designing a funnel, of course.
Okay, so the next one is worst funnel name we have ever used.
Oh, there are so many, but I still distinctly remember the funnel name Transform XU360. And this was right after Tony Robbins and Dean event. We wanted to sound like it. We wanted to sound something very exciting, but not a good choice. It was true because I remember we did a test run on that name and wasn't received well and we changed.
And your favorite tool you wish everyone used.
Okay, so I'll just give you what I use for copywriting, ChatGPT and Claude. For designing, Canva, and for prototyping, I would suggest Figma. In fact, you can use Figma for presentations as well, making creative presentations. For video, Kling and Runway ML. These are the two tools. For image, there are two, three. There's Midjourney. There's of course Leonardo, which is a very good tool. I mean, one can check it as good as Leo.
Okay, that's great. All right, Kshitij, our final question. What would you say to coach who feels not techie enough to start?
Identify your audience, create offers accordingly. And it can be anything. We don't need to be perfect on it. You can start off with a very one product or a service that you can do. For example, I have had coaches who are training people over 40 to get in shape, busy professionals. That's the offer. That's it. And that offer has worked wonderful. So take your time, identify your audience, identify your customers, and help them in the best way possible, of course, which every coach does. But yeah, help them have the transformation. And I think and get started with it.
Yeah, at Sales Funnels Tech Simplified podcast, we all believe that done is better than perfect. So we just start with something simple and then we grow smart.
Of course, that's the whole point.
Love it, Kshitij. Thank you so much for being here in today's episode. Not just for this episode, but for co building this wild funnel ride with me. We have come a long way from whiteboards and noodles, right?
Likewise, Deepanjali, it was a pleasure. Though I was very nervous while doing this, I don't know how it turned out, but I'm glad I could be of help to our audiences on this. So yeah.
Okay, friends, see you next time on Sales Funnels Tech Simplified podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode if it made you smile. Bye for now.